Holy Name of Jesus Cathedral fills the sacred space where Cardinal Gibbons High School furthered its mission for nearly 40 years. Grounded there, too, are the roots of the school's cross-country program. The team's first training path is adjacent to this magnificent sanctuary. Mike Shea, the Crusaders' first coach, enjoys a three-generations relationship with the program. Shea's daughter, Teresa, class of 1986 and a current world languages educator at the school, was among the program's first participants. Cardinal Gibbons' 11th grader, Will Hensgen, who placed 26th on 159 entrants in the November 4th NCHS AA 4A state meet, is Teresa Shea's son.
So could you describe the course a little bit?
Yeah, we start right between the school and the soccer field, baseball field. And so I had a dozen boys right there, which was good, but it isn't great. They were out there to do it, and a couple of them really tried hard. Others were doing it because that was part of the thing of getting conditioning. But you have to love it if you're going to do well in cross country. And so a captive audience worked out, but it was better as they started going. We could not get the girls out. We just had very few girls. And so when we had our meets, we had dual meets, we'd score 3 instead of 5 because we didn't have 5 girls. That works all right for those girls because most of them did want to do well in there. And as most girls are, they're concerned about their appearance, and this would help them in that. Anyway, it went on like that, and we stayed a small group. And then, after a few years, Mike Elder took over, and the thing exploded. He got more kids and then quality, and that's the way it is now. Gibbons has one quality program, and from what I can see is they really enjoy it. The kids get out here, not just the ones that are the top 5 or 7, but all of them seem to be going out here, and they have a great collectiveness about it. I would go out with a little roller I'd borrow from the gas company and mark the course. And it didn't have to be exactly right. I'd get it close. It would be within a few yards. But we would go to some courses and say, you know, it would be whatever the distance. It could be a mile, or excuse me, quarter mile to a half a mile longer than what it was. Our kids would run it, and the time would be up and still going on. So it was kind of exciting to go through there and see things. Sometimes it'd be hard finding the course because many of the other programs were just starting. We were running with the small schools, the private schools, and then some of the smaller schools at the time, like East Wake or, well, I can't think of the others right, Nightdale, some of those.
Did you find that you could compete with those schools, like with such a small program?
We could with the smaller schools. When we ran against Apex or Chapel Hill, there was no competition there. If we got one in the top 5, we would be very happy about that.
So when you saw the program start to grow, did you see some people start to love the sport?
Well, I had some. Right at the beginning I did. With all those basketball players, we still had a couple boys like David Schweiger and Jim Davis. They were good runners, but we're talking about a few like that. Same thing with the girls. Paige Magner and Heather Miller. They would perform well.
Do you think the course here was like a slow course, fast course? Like how did it usually play out?
It was a pretty fast course because it was on hard surface at times, and that gives you a fast course. But the bad thing, it wasn't that great to train on, so we trained over at State, where they had a soft place through their cross-country course, and they didn't mind at all. And even when they were having football practice there, they didn't mind our kids being there.
Once the program really grew, did you see like a real increase in talent, and you could start competing with the better schools?
It didn't grow that much with me, and I had 8 years. It, immediately when I left, they had this popular guy, Mike Elder. He was one of the teachers here, and instead of having a handful of kids, even though we did grow to the point that we could have 5 girls in a meet through there, but he would have 50.
Wow.
It was boys and girls together. And they started blossoming out like that, and that's always good when you have people participating and you've got competition right there at practice, and you've got the comradeship going on through there. And then they started building a real winning tradition, and that helps when you go out there that you expect to do well, and they have. And now with Nick as the coach, instead of having 50, they probably have 70 kids out for the team. I'm not sure. It's a great number. And not all of them would be quality, but it seems like to me all of them really love being out there. And that's it. You got to love it to do well. And it makes me happy to think that it's continuing on. Before this, he had a couple of uncles that ran here. Even though that Gibbons didn't have a team, they were allowed to send them to the state meet. And John finished 3rd or 4th in the state high school meet when he was a freshman. That was all the teams combined. They did not have 4A and 1A. They had that, but not for cross country. They just put them all together because it wasn't that big of a sport then. It has blossomed out, not just at Gibbons, but all over, to see the number of participants that they have here. And where we had several good runners back there, and wow, the number now. I hear these times, and there's 30 kids where there were 3 before that could run these 16 minutes or under, or whatnot. Now even down there, the low 15s for their 5K.
Current Cardinal Gibbons coach Nick Mangum, among the school's last Western Boulevard graduating class in 1999, trained on that first path on his journey to becoming an independent school's state champion. Mangum, in fewer than 10 years, has mentored his own share of championship teams and runners. While today's Crusaders compete in some of the country's most acclaimed venues and events, Mangum remains determined to teach his student athletes about their connection to the program's roots.
It's, I think if you'd asked me when I was a student athlete at Cardinal Gibbons on the old campus, if I would have ever believed that it would be what it is now, I'd probably say no. It's amazing to see the transformation, and it's exciting to see the growth of our school, but also of the diocese, that it has grown from what it was to obviously what it's become now with the new cathedral, and then it's also a pretty exciting thing to think about what's next. So we do have a very rich history, but I'm sure we're going to take it a step further and continue to grow upon that. As far as Cardinal Gibbons goes, but also with the diocese and everything that's going on over there with the Holy Name of Jesus Cathedral now. So I think it's important that they know that they're part of something much bigger than themselves, and much bigger than anything that they could be possibly aware of. That we're in a wonderful place right now, and we're only going to make this grow and get better and better over the next years or decades. But we're only here because of those who came before us, and we're able to lay the groundwork and do the things necessary to allow us to enjoy what we're seeing today. So they're a part of something big. It's something they should be very proud of. It's also something that they should take very seriously. And when they have opportunities to, whether it's to go out and serve the community or whether it's to go out and compete, to know that they're representing something very special and very large, something that goes back, 100 years. So I would definitely say that it's unique. It's something that a lot of programs probably don't have. is to be able to, keep up and have alum uh, who are still very much a part of the program. I think that Julie Shea is always keeping up with what we're doing, and I love when every once in a while I'll get a text or a phone call or an email from her, and it's a very special thing. And then I get to see Mike Shea at meets. He'll come out to watch Lowell, and it's just a really special thing to know that our culture is so rich, and that we can trace our alum and our coaches back so far. So it just adds to how special this place really is, and how special our program is. Marissa is a special kid. She came in as a ninth grader and made an immediate impact on our program, and was one of the top females in North Carolina right away. But I would say that over the past 4 years, it's been such a pleasure to watch her grow up and to mature as a student athlete, and she's learned so much about patience, about the fact that things don't always happen in the order in which we plan, and that it's important to be flexible, and that it's important to know that good things will come, we will make it happen, but sometimes it doesn't happen like we envision. And as long as we stay the course, we keep the faith, then things will turn out as they should. When you're a young athlete and things don't go well, there's a sense of panic. And with her, over the past year and a half or so, when she does experience setbacks, she's very calm. She understands that it's just a part of the journey, and that it doesn't mean that the outcome will be anything other than what we planned. It just means that we may have to get there in a way in which we didn't initially kind of set out. So she's become much more patient. She's much wiser, and she's going to do amazing things over at NC State, and I'll continue to keep up with her. But yeah, I think as far as our other girls go, what Marissa's been able to do is she's been kind of a stabilizing force. When things didn't go well, they were able to lean on her and look to her, and she kept us grounded. She kept us moving in the right direction, even when we felt like things were not going the way we hoped. She kept us. She kept the faith. She allowed us to keep the faith. To finish in the top 10 at the state meet is a big deal, the 4A state meet, and I was very proud of him for that. He didn't even run cross country as a freshman. He didn't run indoor track either. He came out brand new during the outdoor season, and so it's basically starting from scratch. And then as a sophomore, he had to kind of go through the learning process with cross country of what it's all about that most ninth graders get. And so he was already a little behind. He had a great junior year. He was almost in the top 10 as a junior. He's in the top 20, and to come out there and do it, he also did an incredible job of leading this young, inexperienced group that we had this year. And I know that they're going to be much better next year, and most of that will be attributed to him and a few of our other seniors who did a great job. I would say with biggest takeaways, things that we've learned. I think what the kids have learned is that patience is something that is a must with our sport. I think with everything, it's a must. Nothing happens overnight, and you have to be ready to put the work in day in and day out for weeks and months at a time before you can expect to see results. I think the kids learned that this year. I think Sam and Marissa modeled that and really helped out a lot. And especially with the boys varsity group, that group we had this year was really so new to that type of pressure, being on the varsity team. For the girls to have such high expectations early on in the season, and then really we did really struggle early, and to kind of weather that storm and to kind of make the most of the end of the season like we did. I think that I think it said a lot about our leadership. It said a lot about the kids on the team as far as their character, and I think it's gonna lead to incredible things that we've never seen before with these groups next year. I think they're going to be very special.
Hensgen was among 3 Cardinal Gibbons entrants in the men's meet. Wesley Hawes, a 9th grader, was 72nd. Sam Thornton finished 10th, capping his career with an all-state distinction by finishing the 5,000 meter course in 16 minutes, 6.8 seconds. The Crusaders women claimed their third consecutive 4A state championship and eighth straight overall, including 3A titles from 2010 to 2014. Marissa Bishop, who finished 7th, earned her fourth All-State distinction. 11th grader Sloan Walter finished 6th, and thus earned All-State honors for the second consecutive campaign. 5 Crusaders placed among the top 25. Alina Rovnak, a senior, Molly McGowan, a junior, and 9th grading Caroline Malahy were 13th, 24th, and 25th, respectively, among 142 runners.
It's definitely been a long journey. One that's been really rewarding at times, and then other times not so much. But to go all 4 years and not only like our team make it to states, but win every year here, and just to be able to be top 10 every single year, to give the team like that low score, it's just been an honor, and it's been really fun. And then every year we've always tried for qualifying for nationals, and to finally get to do it senior year with Alina too, who's also another senior. It was a great feeling just to get our name on the national stage. I mean, each year we've had a senior or a few seniors to lead this team, and each year I've learned something new from each of them. Each have given me different perspectives on how to lead and what's most important in leading, so I've taken kind of all of that, and then so now that I'm a senior, I just use all of that information and stuff that I've learned. And then I also had Alina and some other seniors to help me along the way, but Alina was also a part of the varsity team, so I guess we just took prior knowledge from everybody else on how to lead by making this team like a family culture, and that we aren't just working for individual goals, but for goals towards the end of the season for the team, and that all of our individual performances are going to help that team score, and that in the end it's not going to be just about us. So I just hope that I show to the younger athletes. We had a lot of freshmen this year, so I just hope that I show them that hard work consistently will pay off in the end, and that you can't cut corners anywhere if you want to be successful on the national stage. So I just hope that I show them that hard work and determination will get you to the end, no matter what, even if there's some bumps along the way. I just hope that I showed them that it's about being part of a family and not just about yourself, and that we're all working for the same goals, so that you have to be a family if you want to make those goals happen.
Beyond state, regional, and national accolades, Mangum's strongest endorsement of the Cardinal Gibbons cross-country program relates to its future. Mangum welcomes any and every opportunity for his wife, Claudine, and their 4 young children to visit the Crusaders' practices and competitions. The reasons why are many, yet simple.
I think that our kids do a great job of looking out for each other. They take care of each other, and of course there's times where we have to kind of reset, and we have to go back and we have to work on that. We stumble at times. We're not perfect, but as a whole they do really love each other and take care of one another. They represent our program really well outside of what we do in their own aspects around the school with other clubs and things like that. They represent us so well, and I think as far as my children go, I try my best it's hard right now because they're young, but I do try my best to kind of bring them around as much as I can with practices and meets, because I do have many on the team now that I hope my children will be just like, when they get a little bit older into their teenage years. It probably isn't many more compliments you could give other than to say, I hope my child turns out like that child. But yeah, I have a number of those type of kids on the team that I could say that about. I hope my son is like him, or I hope my daughter is like her. So it's a very special group that I love very much.